It's kind of black power.
And when I say thug life, I mean that shit. Because these white folks see us as thugs. I don't care what y'all think. I don't care if you a lawyer, if you a man, if you an African American, if you whatever the fuck you think you are. Them thugs and niggas for these motherfuckers.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Reggie Wright Sr. There's a document that has been put up on Pacer. Evidently, he did not have to appear down in Memphis. He appeared at his lawyer's office, and they called into the Memphis court. I didn't find the same document for Reggie Wright Jr., so it's highly possible that he and his attorney both appeared in Memphis. And I wanted to talk about what happens when a cop or a former cop is implicated on drug charges. Here's the problem. The problem is every single case that he's ever worked on is now tainted. So that means that there are literally, in this case, I mean, we're talking about, many decades of a career. I think we're talking about 77 until 2015. That's a long career. That's a lot of cases. That's a lot of people that could go free. That's a lot of people that could sue the County of Los Angeles or the City of Compton for negligence, for planting evidence, for any host of things. And so we're talking about the implications are huge in this case. And if you want justice, I would just say reach out to the attorneys that want to sue and let them know that there's a possibility to make money, because the only way that this corruption stops is if we make them pay. But here's the problem. The problem is they already know that there's a liability issue here now. They're already in damage control mode. They're already trying to figure out, okay, what can we give the U.S. Attorney in Tennessee so that he can whitewash this thing? I mean, that's what happened in the Toros Ramos case. If you start looking at, an officer that did malfeasance in a case, and a judge starts to scold him and what have you, somebody pulls that judge aside and says, hey man, be careful here. This could cost us tens of millions, hundreds of millions, maybe even $1 billion. And I'm not saying that case is something that could have cost him that kind of money, but I'm saying in general, when we start talking about every single case a police officer is touched, we start talking about a lot of potential liability, and the risk managers come in, and even though there is a preponderance to go after, people that are found to be corrupt, it doesn't happen oftentimes, just because the money that it would take to go after somebody is huge. And so look at Rampart. Rampart, there was so much more to Rampart, but it got whitewashed. Why? Because they already paid out over $100 million in settlements, in civil suits. And so we start talking about the implications of really digging in and uprooting that corruption. We want to do it, but it just costs too much. And that's why we don't see justice oftentimes. And so this situation with Reggie Wright Sr., it's a big problem for the County of Los Angeles. I mean, you think about it, from 2000 until 2015, when he retired, that's 15 years of being at the LA County Sheriff's. And if you look at what happened before, I mean, we're talking about the Compton Police. That's an awful lot of liability. So there is, I'm sure, an awful lot of backroom dealing going on. Now, do we know that for sure? We don't. But we can assume that because we're talking about lots of cases, we're talking about gang cases, we're talking about murders, we're talking about drug cases, we're talking about who knows what. I mean, we don't know everything that Reggie Wright Sr. worked on while he was at the LA County Sheriff's, but whatever it was, everything that he did is now subject to being questioned and subject to being litigated. And one last thing, it was reminded to me because it's something that I've seen and read before. You know, Kevin Hackey, in his interview with Russell Poole, said that Reggie Wright Jr. controlled the drug trade in Compton. I think that's a significant point to bring up, because here we are this many years later, and now all of a sudden there's a case on those guys. And so it's important to note that this was known by law enforcement many, many years ago, and they chose not to investigate. They chose to turn a blind eye. And now we have this situation which could cost the County of Los Angeles a significant amount of money if these guys are tried and they're found guilty. And I imagine that other options are being explored even as we speak. Do I know that? I don't know that. But I presume it because we're talking about big money here. And county people have attorneys, and those attorneys are smart and they have connections, and let's see what happens. We don't know what's going to happen in this case. It's a developing story. Stay tuned.
And when I say thug life, I mean that shit. Cause these white folks see us as thugs. I don't care what y'all think. I don't care if you a lawyer, if you a man, if you an African American, if you whatever the fuck you think you are. We're thugs and niggas for these motherfuckers. And until we own some shit, I'ma call it like it is. How you gonna be a man if you start? And we have to talk about 5 different houses ain't a man in either one of them motherfuckers. How we gonna be a man? How we gonna be African Americans? We out here thugs. Young black males out there thinking about thug life, but I could handle it, but not right away.